Welcome everyone. Are you ready to crush some to-do items? I am. I'm going to start with where I left off yesterday, where my baby boy woke up at 6:45 in the morning for some inexplicable reason. Hoping that he doesn't do that today, hoping that he sleeps till his normal 7:45-ish time. 8, perhaps. Skipped his nap yesterday too, even though he woke up so early. He was just jazzed on life. But yesterday, we had this like, the skip when you start the game. Let's see, default start settings. I'm going to try to find that radial. There's this like radial, you can hold a button to skip the game, and it makes a little like radial timer. And I just want to find it because it's in the wrong spot, and it was just kind of blocked in, and I want to make it pretty.
In the beginning,
the universe. There we go. Okay. So here's that radial. I'm just going to select it. There it is. Now, I was just looking at it yesterday, and I don't actually understand what it's doing. Where's the actual art for it? Controller cursors. It's not supposed to be a cursor. It's supposed to be a UI element. I wonder why. Yeah, because people aren't going to see it. That's weird that it's a cursor. I guess it was just kind of created. Maybe I needed to make a better design doc for that, maybe. Well. Okay, so I guess what we have to do is
hummed a long single note.
Oh, no, come on now.
And woke up.
There we go. All right, let's find this element right here. And the radial is supposed to go around it. So, tutorial button prompts. Yeah, we gotta check that tutorial button prompt, and the radial is supposed to go around it. And like if we're in Xbox mode, this this button image is gonna change to like a key, like something like this. Oh, it's not changing right now because we're in play mode. But we're just gonna have to take a look at how that cursor is being updated, and instead we're gonna have to update a little image instead of the cursor art. I don't even know how that's being updated. I'll have to check. Glitch VR, hello and welcome. Live on Twitch also. I should be also live on Twitch if everything is going right. Yeah, it looks like I'm live on Twitch as well. And front editor, hello and welcome. Okay, so exiting out of play mode here. There we go. And I'm going to go into tut button prompts. And I'll create a new image, a new UI image right over the top here. And we'll just do, I think there's a couple different rings. I don't know how thick we want the ring to be. Ring glow, we don't want that. Maybe that's too thick. Let me look at like circle. There's a line circle. Okay, I like that one, but I would want maybe a thicker one, because that's too thin. Thick line circle, that's still not thick enough. Okay, that's fine. We'll just make a super thick line circle. I'm just going to duplicate that texture. And no, I didn't want to open it in Photoshop yet. Really not ready to open it in Photoshop. Okay, exit out of that. I need to rename it first. Call it like extra thick line circle, I guess. I wonder why these buttons are so blurry. Are they really so low res? Like the button frame is so low res. Like it's 64 by 64. That's crazy. I'm gonna change that. It really doesn't need to be that tiny. What is even getting the stroke effect here? Here, let's check. Hopefully this isn't gonna mess stuff up. Okay, I've got to open up Perforce. Rice Remy, hello and welcome. Okay. Actually, probably, it's probably not the end of the world if I have those up, but too late now. There's nothing I can do to get it down. Wow, I really have a lot of stuff checked out. Oh, it's the interiors because we kicked a build. All right, we'll want to check in that headmistress intro. I'm going to revert all these. And then we'll just put in here bug fixes. Save. And I just want to make sure we get the latest. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the latest. Progress is really good. Progress is great. We're running a closed beta right now, and it's going pretty good. People seem to like the game. We're really excited about. Okay, then we need to check out that. I really don't know why that button frame is so small. Actually, all of them are so small. And what is the actual size of this on screen? Let's see, the image is 60. Okay, so it's actually not 64 by 64. So in theory, we shouldn't look blurry to the user. So maybe, all right, okay, fine. I don't need to worry about that. I don't want to waste my time. We do need this extra thick circle. And I'm going to go just a little bit smaller, maybe even smaller with it. It looks a little weird. Might have to make it a little bigger just for the keyboard buttons. Okay, and let's go extra thick. Let's get out of here. No, and I'm gonna head over to our extra thick line circle. Is it really extra thick? It doesn't seem extra thick to me. I'm gonna add a layer beneath this thing. Blood fill it just so we can see what we're doing. And then we're gonna just duplicate the layer and just make it smaller. Merge it down, duplicate it again, and make it smaller again. Something like that seems like the right thickness. I'll save that. Yeah. That seems right. And now for the hold, call it like radial hold. And I think we'll want we'll want a background, which is just going to be sort of dark gray. And then the top color, I don't really ever like to use white. I like to use almost white. And then let's go with filled. And then we'll do a radial fill. Starting from the bottom, which is maybe fine. Let me just see how that looks from the game's perspective. Yeah, that looks good. We might want it a different color, like blue or something. Make it easier to see what's going on. Maybe like purple. We'll go with this blue. It's a little bit sloppy with that particular sprite. That sprite is ugly for the R key. The keyboard sprites are very ugly. Do we really not have better ones? Do I need to go in and make better ones? Because I hate them. I don't even know how we ended up with those. Trying to figure out if white looks better. Maybe it just doesn't matter. Okay. Well, by default, that entire thing is going to be inactive. And I just need to apply those changes. So apply all. I'm going to have to check out prefab. Mr. NeoWolf says, did I hear closed beta? Yes, we are running a closed beta. I can paste the application form. We're not actively sending out keys right now, but I can paste the application form if you like. And then if we ever do need more folks, then we will pull from our application forms again. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the skip, probably something, oh, it's not skip. Maybe it's an intro animatic. Let me just see if the code is simple, if I can just do it myself. Oh, I see. NeoWolf. Well, usually betas are good for many things, but you can do a beta early to have lots of people play the game, so you can course correct on big things as well. It's not necessarily only used for, you know, minutes to launch and fixing final bugs. Actually, if you do make a game and you don't do some, I would say, broad testing in the, you know, something earlier than right at the end, that's usually pretty bad. Usually need, you know, a good swath of people testing the game, like at least 20 people. We're getting closer though. We're getting closer. We're getting there. We're getting there. We'll have more news soon-ish. It'll be good. It'll be so nice, at least when we have a release window out. Because then, you know, we'll have something to tell people. It'll be good. So, intro animatic, and let me just look for skip. So skip is, here we go, can hold to skip. All right. Player must hold A or left click for 1 to 2 seconds to skip. Show ring that fills radially. So I'll take a look at that. I need to go find my Xbox controller and bring it up. Be right back in 20 seconds. Okay. Let me take a look. So is holding great. And then the radial loading icon. So we're setting out a game object radial loading icon. That's interesting. It's on the HUD. Radial loading icon game manager HUD. So let's go game manager. It's on game core. Really curious what object this actually is. And then it's in the HUD. Oh, actually, we can just click on the HUD. This should be the HUD class. And I need to go to the class still to figure out how far down the list this this field is, so I know where to look. It's kind of close to the bottom. V-bar, radial holding. The radial holding loading image. Oh, there it is. Why didn't I see that before? That's weird. Well, I think I'm gonna delete it if it lets, oops. Actually, why don't I crack open the UI prefab? And then let's go to that HUD and track down that radial loading. It's not a, it's something different. It's not got a little different icon. I wonder if it's not like a UI, normal UI image. Anyhow, I'm going to delete it and I'm going to try to put the tut button prompt one that we just created. Whoa! Oh, there it is. Okay. Phew. Should have a missing field. Stick that one in there. Hooray, that one works. Okay, no, it is a normal UI image. That's groovy. And the only other thing is we need to check, okay, who's activating that when we do activate it. It's not in HUD UI. Here we go. So we set the radial loading icon to true. I actually want to set its parent to true. Whoa, okay, right. I need to check this file out. Intro animatic. Check this file out. I'm just going to go transform dot parents dot game objects. So set its parent to true. We want to find all references. So the fill amount, that's perfect. And then when we set it to false, we just want to do that same thing. We want to get its parent. And then there's got to be something that's moving it to the cursor. There's nobody else that's touching it, right? Let me check. So we're activating it, we're setting its fill, and we're turning it to false. Oh, there's one more time when we turn it to false. So we just want to make sure that this also finds the parent. Okay, I'm going to do, there we go. So now we're always finding its parent and we're setting its fill amount. I'm pretty sure that should do the trick. And we just need to remember to deactivate that tutorial button prompt. Hopefully that'll be a bit prettier. Still compiling. There it goes. Okay. Deactivate it and save. And back up. And I'll try it with the controller. Oh, I'm not in controller mode, unfortunately.
In the beginning,
Oh, cool.
the universe
Okay, that's
hummed
correct.
along.
That's what we want. That's how it's supposed to be. Awesome. I'm really happy with that. And then I'll try it once with the keyboard. I'd also really like to make that ship in the beginning just look better. Oh no, why is it? That's not good.
In the beginning,
Oh, because we were
the
holding mouse.
universe
Okay.
hummed a long single note.
It says hold space to
woke up.
skip.
Her eyes opened to planets and stars.
Why is
and
it just kind
space
of...
dust.
Why does it disappear in the middle? There's all kinds of weird issues with it. What that's all about. The intro narrator voice is a professional voice actor. We always do an open audition. His name is Philip Sacramento. If you're looking to hire someone. Yeah, we do an open audition and we usually get about 200 or so auditions, and then we pick our favorite one and cast them. And we're gonna have a lot of voices to do. So we have an open audition going right now, which closes on Friday for we're putting out a new trailer, and it has a bunch of voiceover in it. So trailers are kind of annoying because you have to cast someone to do the voice for the trailer. In this case, we have many voices in the trailer. And of course, the people talking in the trailer are the characters in the game. So you have to cast someone to do the trailer voice. And if you're lucky, then hopefully you can cast someone that is good for the whole character part. And then you try to hook up with them again to do the full character in the game. Because in our case, we really can't actually record all of the dialogue yet for the game, because the game is just the last thing that you do, right? You can't have people recording dialogue if you're going to be changing any of it. So you really need to have all the voice acting be done in the very final stages of production. But then you put out these trailers and you need the highest quality voice acting you can possibly get. So it's kind of hard because you have to do these weird little mini castings just for the trailer, just to get those lines done, and then you have to do the big one at the end. I'm gonna look at that one more time. I don't really know why it's just randomly. It might be that the Xbox controller is sending little signals that is turning on and off the skip.
In the beginning, the universe hummed along.
Okay, well that seemed to go fine. Whatever, I'm not gonna worry about it. It worked. We'll move on. But yeah, this voice actor in particular for this intro, I just can't get over how good it is. I feel like it's like just A+++, AAA tier. Absolutely amazing performance. Probably one of the best performances we've ever had in anything we've ever done. So that is done. I'm going to move on from that. I'm going to check the, here we go. I will maybe put these in their own change list, just so things tidy. Hold to skip. UI work. Cool. Wow, did I have game core and exterior? Oh, okay, it's the weekend. I'm good. Sometimes I forget to check in the big Unity scenes, and that's really bad because then Jenny needs them when she works. So I'm gonna look at the next item. All right, so I removed the RB. That's all done. I wish I could maybe give a column. So insert column to the right, and we're gonna have a really tiny column, and I'm just gonna get like a check symbol. And we're just gonna center this. Here we go. And I just want to paste all of these checks to indicate that they're taken care of. At least they're either in our Trello or they're done. Yeah, that's in the Trello. Just say in Trello. Top tabs are clipping off. Okay, so that's the next one. 1 second, folks. Oh, you know what I really wanted to do was take a look at the starting ship and make that look better. I mean, we have so many things on this list, but I think that starting ship one is bugging me. The first shot in the game cannot be that ugly. It just does not look good. So I need to try to save it. One Bakba, hello and welcome. Welcome to the stream. So looking at the ship that the game starts with, over here. Actually, let me make sure my Twitch. Oh, okay, we got. So for some reason, I'm not getting notification sounds sometimes, but Ann Holo, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it. Yeah, been good. Just been cranking on the game. And I just haven't been streaming. I never know how my sleep schedule is always changing and stuff, and pretty random when I get to be able to stream. Also have a little baby, so that sort of creates a lot of interruptions and things. So looking at the starting ship, the first problem is the shadow swimming. Like when the ship is moving, it's so weird because yeah, okay, there. I wonder if we could get that shadow swimming to look better. Does the ship itself have a... No, it doesn't have a virtual camera. I'm just going to duplicate the whole ship. Just need to remember to remove it so that I can see what's going on. I'm going to put dock the scene view in the bottom here. And then, so now I can move the ship, hopefully. Here, let me just crack out. Let me unpack this prefab. Just crack out the actual ship. Oh, actually, the sails are separate. expand the sails, stick them as a child of the ship, pop out the ship, and delete everything else. And now I should hopefully be able to move and see. There, you can see right there, I don't know if you guys can see that, but the shadows are, they just start going nuts while the ship is in transit. They're just like flickering like mad. And I just wonder if I can fix that. I'm going to take a look at the light direction. Point light. Let's look at the sun. Take a look at the shadow settings. Here's the sun. So it's got the bias. So it's actually on very high resolution already, which is surprising. Interesting. Got soft shadows. If I do hard shadows, obviously that completely changes the look of the game. Actually, I don't really think I've experimented much with the game on hard shadows. Of course, that's absolutely terrible. I wonder what the game would look like with hard shadows. Certainly look different. Wow, everything is all... I can't believe how low the shadow resolution is. Curious. I'd have to run around the game a little with the hard shadows. I'm sure I won't like it. I'm sure there's a reason. I picked soft a long time ago. Usually I pick these things for a reason. I'm going to just poke around. I'm going to see what the game looks like with hard shadows because I haven't assessed this in a long time. Huh. Actually, some things about it that I kind of like. Let me put it into developer start settings and then just poke around the game for a second. Bajin Elf, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it. And I'm sorry, folks, for when the follows come. I don't get a sound notification or anything. So, wow. Okay, so this, it does look kind of interesting. It has a certain fidelity to it with the hard shadows. It's definitely a different look than the soft ones. But I don't know why everything is so low res. So we're going to solve that right now. So I'm going to take a look at the sun. And I'm going to go soft shadows. And then I'm just going to try to figure out why they're so crunchy. Actually, the hard shadows are going to give us more indication of what's going on. But like, is there like a shadow distance? Probably in the project settings. So let me look at the project settings. Project settings. And they definitely give a different look, don't they? So we can see that super crazy stair stepping. And I'm gonna check out in the quality. I'm gonna check out the quality. 32 pixel lights. Anti-aliasing. No, we don't have any of that. Shadow mask. So the shadow distance is just insanely huge. And I don't know why we need such a huge shadow distance. Wow, close fit completely changes everything. That's really strange. But we get some weird, definitely get some weirdness going on. I have no idea why the shadow distance needs to be so high. But of course, the closer in I bring the shadow distance. So this is part of the reason why we absolutely need soft shadows. You can see that since the world is made out of planes, You can really see some of the weird jank going on. Okay, so here's part of the reason why we need big shadow distance. You literally have incredible zoom. You're just really far away, so everything's already starting to fade out. And is she gonna let me through? Yeah, she is. Okay, cool. So here's a really wide shot. You can see all the shadows are already fading out. There we go. So there's the shadows. It seems like 400 is actually enough. So I wonder why we had it at such a huge distance. I don't really know why. We can do distance shadow mask. Shadow mask, I don't know what the difference is going to be here. And then we can definitely do like a cascade if we wanted to. That's actually making things worse for some reason. That's weird. Looks so much better without cascades. I think it's because it's dedicating a lot of the shadow resolution to close to the camera, but we're really far away from everything. So no cascades, definitely better for us. And I'm thinking that the near plane can really be extended very significantly. Look at that. It's still going out. Wait, why is the shadow near plane offset? Why do I set it to 500 and I can still see shadows? You would think that they should be gone. Shadow near plane offset. I wonder if the light itself is overriding. So let me click on the sun. So here's the near. I bet that that's the problem. No, it only gives us to 10. That's interesting. And the bias, 0.1. 0.1 is where we had it. Seems pretty good. And let's go back to the soft shadows and see where we're at. So this is part of the problem. I think that maybe that's why I had everything splayed out so far, because I actually don't like... We need the shadows to be softer than this. And the only way to get them softer is, I think, the way we were doing it was just literally by increasing the shadow distance. Oh, that's weird. Oh no, it's the stable fit softens it a ton. Interesting. Let me exit out of there and we'll try some stuff. We might have to like change the shadow settings just for the intro scene because of how swimming the shadows are on the boat. We're just completely wrong. Let's move our character. Down to the bottom here and try to find our ship. Here's our ship. Activate it. Now we can kind of see what's going on. Let's bring up our quality again. I'll dock our quality over here maybe. And I should be able to move. Whoa, that's... It's crazy how different it is. I can't even get over that. So moving it up and down, it's like creates all sorts of mayhem. So what did I have it on here? I had it on shadow distance of 500. We got a stable fit. And no cascades. And then the sun. Man, it's just so hard to locate the sun. We just need to keep on searching for it. What did we change here? Did we... Oh, put it on the hard shadows. Okay, so let's go back to soft shadows. So there we've got our soft shadows. And I'll go back to our ship. So that clearly is the best look for the shadows. But now we just have to get it to stop swimming so intensely, because that's very distracting. I'm going to turn off the shadows. Actually, I'll turn off the casting of the shadows for the sails. And we'll see if that kind of solves all of our swimming problems. Of course, we won't get the shadow, but we can maybe try to fake it through some other method. Okay, so we're actually still getting a lot of swimming. And I don't really know what it is that's swimming. Could try to mess with the bias. I wish I could just like animate this thing to bounce back and forth so I wouldn't have to keep going back and forth here. Maybe I can put another inspector. Yeah, I think I'll maybe add an inspector. Hey, for anyone who uses Unity, you might not know this, but you can actually have multiple inspectors. And you can lock one. So I'll lock this one. It's always going to be the light. Thanks, FJ. HHD, glad you dig it. So I'm just looking, for anyone new to the stream, I'm just looking at this part, like when the game starts, you're on this boat, and normally I wouldn't give a crap about this kind of stuff, like whatever, shadow swimming, I don't care. We don't have the money to obsess over tiny little noodly things like that, but it's the opening shot of the game, and there's this crazy shadow flicker, and it's so distracting, and I just don't want people to be thinking about that when they start the game, so I'm just trying to see what I can do here. I'm going to try increasing the bias a crap ton and see if that has any impact on the flicker. I'm guessing it won't. Okay. No, you guys can see it right there. It's like creating that crazy flicker effect while swimming and stuff. Let me lower the bias a ton. Actually, I'll raise the bias an extreme amount. So that doesn't help. I'll lower the bias. Oh, I lowered the strength like an idiot. I'll lower the bias to almost nothing. It's not the bias. The bias is not the problem. There's also a normal bias, which I, again, very much doubt is going to do anything. Huh. Actually not as pointless as I thought. I'm going to increase the normal bias completely nuts amount. That's actually doing something. I wonder if it's just because it's putting a lot of the stuff in shadow. I'm really surprised by that. It's making all the other shadows look messed up. But we could like animate the normal bias once you get off the ship to go back down. I'll put a really low normal bias. Wow, really low normal bias also fixes it, which is just wild. We seem to be at the Goldilocks normal bias to make the shadows as horrible as possible. Really surprising. Let me turn the sails back on. The shadow casting. We'll even do two-sided shadows here. And then I'm going to push around the ferry ship. Okay, I'm going to put the game back into default start settings and actually run it. Because I'm kind of losing sight of our problem here. Decrease the camera's render distance. I think that probably shouldn't that probably wouldn't affect the shadows. I could I could change the shadows, like max distance. I think that would make a change. Surprised these boards are casting such a funky shadow. Anyhow, like that is completely whacked out. And hello, by the way, co-reactivities. Seen you in a while. Oh, and I missed your message, Bajan. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out on the stream.
In the beginning, the universe
Always
hummed
appreciate
a
the long-time
long
lurkers.
single note and woke up.
What? It's like not bad at all anymore. I don't even know what I changed. Wow, it was so much worse before. Let me see if... Are all the shadows fine still? I'm sure I made just like sweeping game change. But it seems like the shadows are fine. But they definitely seem less distracting than they were before, so maybe that's good enough. Reactivity says, I've never seen you before. Last time I watched... Oh, last time I watched you were still in the middle of the last game and didn't have a face cam. Oh, you've never seen my face. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it's very annoying to have a face cam actually, because, well, for one, it just makes the setup a lot more complicated. I have a camera up all the time and have it attached. And the most annoying part I find about having a face cam is I don't want to stream without washing my hair first. So every single time I stream, I have to like shower and make sure my hair looks okay. I just hate being on stream with like my nasty hair. That's when I just do the mic, I can stream at the drop of a hat in any state. Camera doesn't have to be set up, don't have to worry about focus or anything. All right, so I want to make the ship look a lot better. It's so empty. It has no details or anything. It just doesn't look like a ferry ship. So I wonder what kind of stuff, I mean, like barrels and things and tackle. Maybe we should look at some reference. Let me pull up some reference. Ship. All ship deck. And I'm just going to look at what kinds of stuff they have on deck. They've got crazy amounts of rope. And I could model some more stuff. Obviously, we're not going to have any cannons on deck. Seems like it's pretty clean, though. There's not a lot of, like, junk on deck. I imagine because it would, you know, when the seas are rough, if anything not secured down would roll around. But yeah, there's not a ton of stuff on deck. It's mostly like tackle and rope and stuff. In our case, I'm imagining a ferry boat might have some actual like wares, like barrels or something. I tried putting barrels on here, but I didn't think they looked very good. I could try again. Like we have all these like hand-drawn barrels. Oh, see, so there's like some apples. Another issue is that the ship is 3D and all the props are not 3D, so they're going to have some kind of script so that they always face the camera. Let's put an apple barrel on here. Shouldn't be too bad though. Obviously, that's completely massive. Check the camera. So I'm going to put the player on the ship. Also have a problem with all the values need to be matching. Like that looks really bad to me because the values of the ship on the wood are way darker than the values of the wood on the apple crate. I'm very, very particular about the values of things, especially the values of wood. I find that if you have different brightnesses of wood, it just looks really bad. I don't really know why that is, but this thing clearly looks too bright. I kind of like that though. It might work, but we need to add some kind of thing that will always make this prop face the camera. Nothing about facing or direction, forward direction. Billboard maybe? Something about billboard? Ah, we do have a billboard script. What does it actually do? Huh, okay. So it really does always face the camera. I would like a little more control over it because I don't actually know what this is going to do. But this should be easy enough. Let's just version off this apple barrel. I'll just call it apple barrel dark. Okay, so right away I'm noticing that the apple barrel is full white, and we usually do everything 186, so that might be one issue. But that to me is already looking much better. It sits much better. A little bit dark. Yeah, that to me looks a lot better now. We've got the billboard script on the sprite, and I'm curious what it's going to do. Make sure the game is starting in default start settings. And we'll just sort of see what happens with that apple crate, apple barrel.
In the beginning, the universe hummed a long single...
So far, okay. Actually looks fine. I can't even notice that it's any different than anything else. We might have problems when we leave. No, it's totally fine. Wow. Cool. That apple barrel works fine. So let's see how much crap we can put on this ship. I just want it to look, you know, full. Like it's actually being used, you know, like it's part of the world, because it looks really empty and gamey right now. Gamey is like the ultimate dirty word for an East Shade Studios game. We are basically seeking at all times to be the opposite of gamey. Kind of the DNA of our games. Gaminess is what we're trying to avoid. So, empty ship looks gamey. Could try some barrels. I want to be careful about barrels there. Don't want to be too, you know, there's a lot of barrels in video games. And I used to really love barrels, but I feel like I've moved beyond barrels a little bit. Are we seriously not gonna, like, I can't put this barrel in? Why? How come I could put this apple crate in? Doesn't really make any sense to me. Yeah. They're a good filler. They're a good filler prop. But I'd like to... I just feel like maybe we see a lot more barrels in video games than we actually see in the real world. We've got a number of different barrels. I'm going to go filter just to the prefabs. We have so many different barrels. I'm just going to put them all on the ship and see which one looks best. I have to imagine that having too many different kinds of barrels is going to be pretty ugly. But let's see. Huh. That doesn't look too ugly to have, at least to have two barrels. Let me add that script to both of these. The billboard script. This one doesn't have a collider on it. Give it a little thickness here. Doesn't need to be quite so wide. Oops. I like that. This wood is, see, this is again with the values and the hues of different kinds of wood. For whatever reason, the red of this wood, I feel like it clashes a little bit. I'm also maybe going to turn off the random color effect. Okay, that did almost nothing. Oh, but these props are going to be moving through the world, so I do want to turn that off. I have a little randomized color in the material at the shader level, where like it uses the prop's world position to pull from basically a noise texture of random colors, and so you can duplicate the same prop and put them next to each other, and they'll have a slightly different tint. And this is useful, especially in the forests, where you've got a lot of like trees and grass clumps and stuff, and they all just have a very subtle tint and hue variation that makes it just look a little bit less repeaty. And then you combine that with, of course, the scale variation in the flipping left versus right. Okay, what else can we put in the ship? So looking at our reference, definitely, yeah, we don't have nearly enough tackle. You know, it can't be too detailed because it is... We've got to be careful because we don't want to go too crazy on the modeled detail. We want to keep the ship looking like a part of the game world, which is, of course, mostly illustrated. I could put like boxes. Really under this front, I feel like would definitely not be empty the way that it's currently empty. I feel like it could use like, if there's, I doubt we have any sacks in the game. This doesn't seem like something we'd have. Oh, we do. No way. Oh, heck yes. That is so cool. Okay. Watch, it's not going to let me put it in. I'm pretty sure of it. Yes, it did. Okay, cool. So these are like, have like a sack of paper, which is kind of weird, but it's fine. We just have to make this ship look a little bit more used. And if we stick it underneath here, then it feels a little bit more believable that it's actually just like, you know, chill in there. Because maybe it would hold in there a little bit more. If it's just on deck, it might feel a little bit like, okay, that thing is definitely going to be bopping around. I'm going to version off the material and just make sure that the value sits with the ship. Yeah, it just seems like it should be a little bit darker. And I'll put that billboard script on there. Ah, actually clipping through the ground. We need to lift it. Go ahead and apply changes to this prefab. Check it out. Okay, so I can see it's like, again, the value is a little bit wrong. I'm going to darken it for sure. And then it seems almost like I need to desaturate the texture and then pump back in some of that artificial wood color, because we've got more red tones, and this thing looks definitely more in the green direction for the wood, and I just want it to really match here. So something like that, and then also just darker, and it's also too big, so I'm gonna scale it down a little bit. Yeah, better. Time Car 808, welcome, and thank you for the kind words. Let me catch up here. Oh, okay. Franklin Weeks, hello, welcome, says, what's your opinion on using asset packs? I'm not the best artist and work full time, so I don't have a lot of time to learn, do everything. Well, I mean, I think it depends on, I don't know. For us, for eShade Studios games, like the sort of world and the aesthetic of the game and the sort of tone and everything, for us, it has to be handcrafted. It has to. That's like one of the selling points of our games. So if there was some like generic asset packs that were in the game, for us, it wouldn't work. And that's just the kind of games we make. But I think if you're making a kind of game where like tone and setting are not a super important, and I would say art direction, if that's not a super important factor in your game, the kind of game you're making, then I think you can get away with using more asset packs. In general, I find the quality of asset packs is not high enough for me. Like for at least for my studio and the kinds of games we make, it's very hard to find asset packs that actually have quality assets, either in terms of visual direction and just general art quality level, or in terms of performance and the way it's constructed and stuff. So that's another reason why we don't use asset packs. I also feel that the video games are art, and they're of course full of art as well. And the more of yourself you put in the game, and by yourself I mean you and your team, right? Because your team is hopefully being directed, the more avenues of expression are in your game. And the more off-the-shelf things you buy, the more generic things you put in your game, the less avenues for expression you're going to have. Now, if you're not a high-level artist, then of course those avenues of expression aren't as valuable to you like they are for us. I also feel the same way about the game engine itself. This is very controversial. It pisses a lot of people off, I'm sure. But if you make your own game engine, I also feel that's actually an avenue for expression, because the way you design your engine has a pretty big impact on how your game ends up and how your game ends up looking. I don't think it's controversial to say that like certain engines have certain looks. So if you make your own engine, then I think I think that's really cool, and most gamers think that's cool. Like if a gamer learns that this is a proprietary engine made for this game, most people think, well, that's really cool. I think it's because they intuitively understand that that is an incredible avenue of expression, and people, they want to play something really unique. So, of course, we'll never make our own engine, but I have tremendous respect for developers who do. I only bring that up because usually when I talk about how I'm not really into using art assets, some people will criticize that and be like, well, what, you're using an engine, you're using an off the shelf engine. And so I just put that response out there like, yeah. And if I had the budget and the personnel to not be, like, that would be really cool if we didn't have to use someone else's engine. Of course, it saves a huge amount of time. And well, for me, just because, my background is art, the engine is probably not as big of an avenue of expression as the art in the game is, if that makes sense. Hopefully people understand that. Let me catch up with chat. This is a fun topic, so we'll have thoughts on it. Thesar says generic genre games like Vampire Survivor style can use asset packs. Yeah, for sure. Not great for immersive games. It can be immersion breaking. BB Adams says, been searching for cozy game equivalent to eShade, but nothing exists. Your company is absolute pinnacle of excellence. Well, that is just way too kind. Absolutely flattered. Lovely to hear. Thank you, BB Adams. Really appreciate the kind words. Looking forward to the completion of the new game. Thank you so much for the support. Really appreciate that. Mr. Neil Wolf says, that's what makes lots of big AAA titles soulless. Those have so many different people and even companies working for them. In the end, there's no coherent design language. That's true. It is really hard to get a lot of people pulling in the same direction, in terms of, artistically, narratively, from a design perspective. It's hard to get everyone really synced up. But I also think that the level of craftsmanship available to AAA games, because they have so many amazing craftsmen, that can help a lot, I think. And that's why AAA games tend to look a lot better than indie games. A lot of really good artists at AAA studios. Paul Turtle says, never heard of asset packs. Yeah, those are basically just, you can buy art for games. Like, you're making a medieval game, you can buy a medieval inn pack, and it'll come with tables and barrels and tankards and bottles of wine and, rafters and beams and all kinds of things that you can build your tavern out of. Of course, then you're going to have a tavern that looks sort of generic, because the more unique that tavern asset pack is, I think the less useful it becomes to people, because they might not be making that exact thing. Whereas in eShade, we actually strive to make everything incredibly unique. Like, if we put the eShade art assets online, I'm sure people would probably still buy them just because they look really good, better than most stuff that's being sold. But we've got these crazy looking round buildings we've got a lot of cob style houses with Romanesque window holes, and lots of arched doorways, and all sorts of really unique, strange, whimsical things that maybe not everyone who's making a medieval game would necessarily want, because they look so fantastical and strange. Talking about iMovie, so everyone had the same style animations previews. Yeah, exactly. It was all the same, right? Exactly. And that's kind of what we get a little bit. I mean, to a lesser extent, because there's a huge variety of things being sold for games. Neil Wolf says, love small handcrafted worlds. Me too. Exploring them is a lot more rewarding to me than a huge Ubisoft style open world. Yeah, and I think that the huge is the key factor, because it's like, if it's big enough, it's really hard for it to be handcrafted. So it ends up, instead of being a grand garden, which is like an eShade Studios game where every corner is there for a reason, it sort of ends up a little bit more like a meat grinder, like just a little bit more procedural feeling, which can also be interesting in its own way, but definitely different vibe. Oh yeah, well, it's a topic that I thought a lot about, so I have a lot of things to say. Fafa says, even slightly janky self-made art tends to have more charm than high-fidelity marketplace assets. I definitely agree. It's also like if you're making janky art assets yourself, at least you can make everything. It looks extremely strange, particularly for people who use like AI art or something, to see like one really polished asset and then like a really terrible typeface on top of it that you just know these were not made by the same craftsman, not made by the same artist. You know, it just feels cheap, it feels less special. As Thazar says, good example of asset pack. Every indie game uses the same free icon pack. What icon pack is that? I actually think icons are incredibly important. I would never, ever, ever buy icons. Even simple UI stuff like rounded corners and little filigree things and frames and things. I think those are super duper 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 important for the look of your game. I would definitely never buy those. Legend Elf says, I teach game design to kids and always tell them better to go with asset packs than to go down the AI rabbit hole. Yeah, asset packs better than AI. And of course, making it yourself or hiring someone to make it with direction is, of course, better than both those. Of course, far more expensive. Cinti is used like everywhere. Interesting. Cesar says, you noticed if you play enough indie games, I could name like 10 games off the top of my head that same icon pack. Is it like actual icons, like spell icons or like item icons? Is that the kind of icons talking about? Yeah, that's horrible. I would just not want a game to be in existence that had the same icons as that. That just, it feels so wrong. It's unthinkable to me. I cannot sleep at night with thinking that. I feel like I can't even explain it. I can't. Spell icons. Yeah, I can't. I would never. A spell is supposed to be this magical thing in your world. It should be so. Everything about it should be unique. The name of it should be unique. The icon should definitely be unique. I can't. I could never. But I'm a pretentious artist. I mean, that's who I am, you know. So I'm navel gazing, pretentious, hoity-toity artist, and that's just sort of what the stuff I'm made of. So, you know, everybody's different. Everybody makes different games with different priorities and different. Different everything. I'm looking for pillows. I don't really see any pillows that I think would go in this ship. We lucked out and we found a sack. Oh, there's also this kind of sack. I don't think that one's gonna work. This wagon sack, now that could work. Hey, this could really work. Although I really don't think that they would just put a sack like this on the deck. But who cares if it adds detail? Yeah, you know, and makes it. Yeah, I think that sack actually looks great. I think it looks fantastic. Mr. Neil Wolf, I noticed a lot of sounds from certain asset packs. Lots of games use animal sounds, for example, bear, wolves, chickens. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess, I mean, a chicken, there's only so much artistic expression you can put into the sound of a chicken. But we actually use some sound asset packs, and I hate it. I hate that we do. I wish I could record all of our own sounds. I think that's another avenue of expression. Sounds are really important. We do make a lot of our own sounds, but I wish that I recorded them all. That would be fun, but I just don't have time. And you have to pick your battles, obviously. And that is one battle that I've conceded. I think it's going to be weird probably if we have multiple sacks like this on deck, but we'll see. Oh Oh man, why does it sometimes just decide that it can't do it? It's very strange. What? I'm not asking you to open a prefab. What are you talking about? Why? Why is it suddenly complaining? Let me just try to move these in. There, okay, so can do it at the bottom of the list. Animal sounds are actually quite hard to find. I mean, who's got, you know, a high quality recording of a chicken isolated? That's the important part. Lots of recordings of chickens. You got to get it isolated. It's not easy. You got to find a person who has a chicken and is into audio. Bears, I can't even imagine how you would get that sound. I mean, you have to go to a zoo, right? Because you're never going to catch a bear. Like, you could record a bear, but it would be, again, isolated. You'd have to have like a shotgun mic ready. You'd have to be pointing it right at that bear. It probably would take hours and hours. Of course, you'd have to not get eaten. Complicates things. What else can we put on our ship here? Definitely some, oh, this is like a little model ship. That's fun. But yeah, just lots of tackle and rope spools. That's what could really fill this out. Like just spools of rope. It's piles, like a rope pile. I like piles of rope hanging on the side. That would definitely fill out. I need something toward the interior, like here. And definitely something up on the captain's little deck stand thing there. I don't know what he would have up there. Maybe just like a little desk or something. Just trying to find the right thing. Piles of rope are actually going to be pretty hard. Jacqueline might have drawn some though. Always surprised to find what we have in this game. I'll do rope and then I'll just confine to texture. So check this out. We have some rope here. We have some rope. I don't think that that's really going to work for us necessarily, but it's an icon. A spyglass, yeah, maybe that would be something. A mug of beer. Oh dear. Definitely, I want this ship to be super detailed. Let's take a look at this wagon. Append this little starting ship. Suffix, and then I'll add that material. Now I should have some more granular control over the texture. And just a little bit darker. Well, I don't know how we're going to do those rope piles without spending a ton of time, but they definitely fill out the deck. Well, let's put a little, at least we can model some kind of little thing to go right there. Sort of like that, whatever the heck that is. Let's model that. I'm gonna head over. into our Blender files and then find our ships Blender file and check that out. Go ahead and give this a title, Ferry Ship Arting. And let's crack open our ships file. Okay, so here we've got the collision. It's gonna make sure that everything is marked to not export. I'll find our little dummy that is responsible for exporting our ship, and it's ship to ferry. Head back over. And we'll check this out. We'll probably need to make some collision adjustments, so I'll check that as well. And let's see if we can make something. Maybe I'll just copy this, stick this down here. Do something like that. I mean, that already could fill it out a little bit. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that fills it out a little. I would definitely want these parts should not be so high. They should definitely be more sunken into the ground. And then I think that these beams could just be a little bit fatter. And maybe just rotate this a little bit more out. Something like that. And then this one in the middle definitely could be fatter. That's too fat. Shrink it a little. Okay, then it extends way below. We don't need all these faces. So I'll just expand the selection until it goes up, undo, just delete those faces. Yeah, this one, just a little bit, maybe just skinnier in this direction. Okay. Then I would love to wrap some rope around all these. I'll just grab this one. Grab this one little beam here. I'm just going to duplicate it. I'll partition it into a different object. I'm going to unmirror it, and then maybe rotate it 90 degrees so we're getting a different side of it. Stick it into the ground here, make it smaller. Just make it like a middle support here for this, something like that. Actually, we should really turn it around 180 so the bright side is facing out. How's that? Yeah, that's a little bit better. I don't know about those little knobs on the top. They do add a little bit of detail, which maybe is good. Dream A, hello and welcome, says, love watching your process. Appreciate that. Thank you. Have you ever spoke about your lighting process, shaders on objects, how to maintain that 2D art aesthetic without lighting adding depth to more complex 3D models? I think that our trick is just, we're just unshaded. There's no shading. There's no directional lighting at all. Not cell shaded or anything. Our shaders literally have no directional lighting. They have no spec model. They have no like shading, directional shading of any kind. They're completely unshaded. The only thing they have is the attenuation, which is just shadows. And literally, like, if you're really like purely the distance from a light. So if I put a point light in the scene, if I just put like a, oh my God, where's the light? Here, light. If I put a point light in here, you can see, I'll just make it red so you can see it. You can see the light is actually affecting the ship, but it's not directionally affecting the ship. Like we put it over on the far side of the ship, you can see the side of the hull closest to us is still being shaded as if it's in direct light, even though it's facing away. And that's pretty much our trick, and that's how we do it. So I'm moving this light everywhere, and it's just pure distance function. So that's pretty much our trick. And then all the other shading you see in the game is in the actual illustrations themselves or in the vertex color. Sometimes we use vertex color, particularly if we're mixing 3D, which we don't do very often. This ship is actually a massive exception. This ship is nearly fully 3D, which is very bizarre. We don't do that very much. And it's just because we had to animate it coming in. But most things are going to be billboards in this game, like these giant rock structures. These are all billboards, as you can see. Like this fence, that's actually 3D because it's so much easier to make a fence that goes on an arbitrary path and foreshortens in the right way and everything in 3D than if Jacqueline had to draw 200 different little fence pieces with different amounts of foreshortening and stuff. So that's another 3D thing. But you can see like there's a bunch of vertex color where we literally just grab those faces and shade them a little bit in the vertex color. And that just requires, you know, tedious like art eyes, just like shading it yourself in the vertex color. Then the other huge amount of shading we do is in decals. So every single thing sitting on the ground has a little tiny shadow decal. Check this out. You see that? It's literally just a plane on the ground with a little gradient on it and a blend shader. And we achieve that because we're using forward shading. We're not using deferred shading. And we have those things everywhere, and we have all different shapes of them, and we just stick them everywhere, like under every single little thing. We've got those little decals, like you can check out, just like here under this tree is going to have one too. It's a little shaded decal. And without it, it doesn't really look like the thing is sitting on the ground. Like if I grab this stump and turn it off, that stump doesn't really look like it's on the ground anymore. And now put it back, boom. Now it looks way more like it's actually sitting on the ground. And that's pretty much our lighting model. I mean, there's a couple other things to it, but it's for the most part, we just use our hands. But hopefully that helps a little bit. Hello, Alsend, and welcome, welcome. Says, I was wondering if you guys have any specific inspiration when creating and envisioning buildings in Songs of Glimmerwick, maybe like architecture or cultural elements from any specific place. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, Jacqueline draws all the buildings, and she was hugely influenced by a lot of like Eastern European wood architecture, like timber architecture. A lot of really cool timber buildings that have lasted a really long time, and a lot of like cool painted timber and stuff. She was inspired by a lot of that, but a lot of different references. I mean, she's got just folders and folders of cool buildings for sure. Bafa asks, why is the sack 3D? That's a great question. So the sack is 3D because the reason why we have that sack at all is because it goes inside this cart right here, which is currently being covered up by this thing. But there's a cart right here. See this little cart? It's got a wheel. Now, why is the cart 3D? The cart is 3D because the player can pull it. And of course, the player can pull it in arbitrary directions. So that was way easier to do in 3D. And because the cart is in 3D, when you put items into the cart, the sacks fill up, and those sacks have to be 3D too because they need to like rotate with the cart and everything. So that's the only reason why we have a 3D sack. No, it's a great question. Normally we would not have a 3D sack. I'm gonna maybe try to. Wait a minute. This is weird. I'm just realizing the ship doesn't have any ropes on the left side. That's sort of strange, but if I go to the Blender file, oh no, that's actually the way I made it. It's odd. Huh. Oh, well, of course it doesn't, because it would be weird, right? Because the player has to get off right here, so I see why I did that. Okay, so in terms of adding like a pile of rope, I'm just trying to think of the best way to do this. It might be cool to have some like little knobs that the rope can attach to. I would think I would want those to be the more red, dark wood pattern there. And I think I want them to be a little bit darker. I'm just going to set the vertex to multiply and just darken those fellows up a little bit. Slightly darker wood. like that. Also seems like it maybe needs to be sampling from less wood. And I'll just rotate the UVs a little to get the wood sort of twisting a little bit. Thanks, Dream A. Yeah, I'm glad you dig it. It turning out well. It's taken a long time to find this sort of look. There's a lot of other things too, like we use a lot of vertex blending on the ground as well. We kind of actually all the ground in the game behaves a lot more like a full 3D game than it does like a 2D game. Actually, I have an article. I always end up posting this article, but well, I have an article and a YouTube video. Here we go. One on Game Developer. I think I put it on our own site as well, but I'll post the one on Game Developer where I go into all this stuff. A lot of the techniques that we use, because it's pretty weird. Like, I haven't really seen any games that mix it in the way we mix it. So we kind of have a crazy art pipeline. Cesar says, did you hand place all of these or did you use some sort of noise spawner? No, we hand place everything in the game. Franklin Weeks says, how in the world are you exporting from Blender directly to Unity? Also, is that Blender 2.79? Yes, it is Blender 2.79. And the reason why it is Blender 2.79 is because I wrote a custom exporter for Blender to do exactly what you saw, which is export really quickly and really easily. I can't work without that. I don't understand how anybody does. So I had to write my own exporter because I absolutely hated everything about the way that the Unity, the default behavior worked. Could not deal with that. First of all, I need to be able to tell. I need to have a Blender file that has some things in it that are marked to not be exported. And I also need to have lots of different things in the Blender file that can be exported to individual different props. So that's the start of my problems. The other thing is I need it to automatically combine any materials that used or any meshes that use the same material. Like, I cannot have all the objects that I have in my Blender file come into Unity. That's completely insane. Again, I don't know how anyone works like that. I've never ever worked in a game studio, and I've worked in at least 3 AAA game studios. I've never worked at one that had something like that. Like, we always know that in our 3D app, you can have as many objects as you want, and by the time you export it to the game, it's all going to get combined for like materials. All the meshes is going to consolidate down to as few sub-meshes as it can. And you don't have to worry about doing that. Because once you do that, it's completely destructive, right? You can't work on your model anymore after you've done that, because everything is a separate object for a reason while you're working on it. So I don't know how people deal with that, honestly. I'm going to maybe I wanted to make some kind of desk. So definitely the ropes. How am I going to do ropes? Okay. The only thing I can think of for doing a rope is maybe just start with a simple donut. Start with a cylinder. And then I'm just going to get like a rope shape here. I'm going to grab actually, you know what would be really big brain stuff if I just start with the shape? You know what? I should really just start with the outer ring and then use a solidify modifier on it. I can find it. It's too thick. And then I can put the beams texture, I think, which has some rope. No, doesn't have any rope. So what are you using? You're actually using a rope texture, fine. And the UVs are going to be all messed up at first, but we can mess with that later. And then I just want to make sure that it's using the same material. So ship rope is the material. Ship rope, and then scale it way down so that it sort of has roughly the right textile density. Okay, that's pretty big. Okay. Oh, you know, we had some like cool tiling going on. Maybe I shouldn't have. Well, anyhow, we'll deal with the UVs later. That's not a problem. Actually, if I just select this one and just go follow active quads on here, that'll get us a better starting point. There we go. That looks more like a rope. Okay. And now I should be able to sort of drape this thing. So I want it to be way smaller. At least I want the ring to be way smaller. And now I need the rope to be way thicker because I shrunk everything down. Okay, that's a little too thick. And then I guess I could just, you know, maybe what I should do is, I'm trying to think of how to do this. I guess I'll just use the soft selection tools or the proportional fall off. So let's use proportional fall off. I've got the smooth, and I'll just try to bend this thing into shape. Sort of like, it's going to be really hard. This kind of modeling is difficult, and the way I'm doing it is very crude. But I'm just going to try to bend the rope down to look like it's draped on there. So it already kind of looks like it's draped on there. Mostly it just needs to like be shoved back, especially this side. Yeah, it kind of looks like it's draping over. Yeah, it's cool. And now, unfortunately, I just need to duplicate it enough to build up like a thick looking amount of rope. Has enough different layers and variety and things to make it look believable. Let's move that one backward. Maybe I'll grab another one and just sort of offset it a little bit. I don't want to go too crazy with it just to start out. Maybe just one more, stick it in here. Just rotate it a little. And I'll just kind of rotate the entire thing. Okay. Oh, you know what I really should have done? Yeah, this is going to be, it's going to be a little bit annoying to fix this, but let's just see where we're at so far. Because if this reads well in terms of the silhouette, then that is the most important part. Then we'll worry about the texture later. But first, let's get it reading well. So I'm going to attach it, or I'm going to parent it to our transform or our dummy object. It's going to export there. Okay. You know, it's so small. It's so small on screen that I think we're going to be able to get away with this. As long as it adds to that clutter. Oh man, I'm surprised. I mean, it definitely is fine. I mean, everyone can tell what it is. It looks like rope. And then once I fix the texture, it won't be so noisy, because that is tiling way too hard right now compared to everything else. Yeah, I think that works really well. Cool. I actually heard the follow noise for once. I don't know why Twitch decided to start playing it, but Danosaurus Rex, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate that. me catch up here. Dreamy says, I noticed when you hit play to test, you have a delay for Unity start stop. Is there anything that can help with this? Having smaller scenes, less shader variance, just a Unity. So the delay is actually already so good compared to what it should be. We're using no domain reload, which is an experimental Unity feature, and it's kind of annoying because there's a lot of weird little bugs that you can get as a consequence of that. But our programmer Jenny just made sure that everything works with the no domain reload, but it is loading as fast as it possibly can. I don't really know all the things that contribute to a fast play mode start. I know it's scene related because our start menu scene is like instant, but we have a massive world and it's all in one scene. I mean, there's just tens of thousands of objects in this scene. So I think scene size is the biggest culprit if you can keep your scenes small. But of course, if you break your world up into a bunch of scenes, that kind of creates other headaches. So just a balancing act. Office says, why not wiggle a spline all over the place for some loosey-goosey rope? I could, that is definitely a viable strategy as well. I just thought it'd be easier to make the rings. Don says, do you use multiple HUDs and swap them out? How do you handle menus? All of our menus go into one object called UIs. And that's how we do all the UIs. It's just one big prefab UIs. I'm going to compare the size of the rope. Just want to make sure it's sort of the same size here. So all this rope looks a lot thinner. Let's go ahead and apply all this stuff. So I'm just going to grab all these ropes and let's Control J it all to one object. And then I'll go ahead and apply the modifier. And then I'll grab every single one. I'm going to have to just do follow active quads on it. I think that's all of them. And then I just want to scale them all down, so we don't have such a noisy pattern. And I'm just gonna scale them down on the Y so that the rope, no, we should have tighter coils than that. I'll undo that. And now it looks like all of the rope is just so thin compared to the other rope on the ship. I'm just gonna thicken it up. I'm gonna disable proportional fall off, and I'm just gonna use the fatten tool to make that rope a little bit thicker. Really, it's very surprising because it really looks absolutely, I would say, perfect. This came out a lot better than I thought it was going to, and it was incredibly easy. The only thing is we want now both of them, we want to make it look different. I'm not really sure how to do that. We could maybe just try to flip some of these, like -1. Of course, I'm going to flip the normals as well. Hopefully that'll just give a different sort of silhouette to these. But we want to try to make it look super varied. I'll just maybe grab one face right here and then use proportional fall off and just sort of pull that out, hopefully give a different look. I think I would say it already looks pretty different from the one next to it. Kind of. I don't know. I could also bake ambient occlusion into the vert color. Oops, it didn't work. Oh, we need an actual vertex color channel, which apparently we don't. So this is probably gonna, yeah, that's what I thought it would do. So there's just too much black going on. There's just too much overlapping, so that's not gonna work for us. That doesn't do us any good. Let me catch up with chat. Mr. Neo Wolf, thanks for dropping by the stream. Appreciate it. And good to see you. All right. Thank you for the confidence. I do think Songs of Glimmerwick is going to be even better than Eastshade. Dream A says, just want to say again, what an amazing stream. Oh, well, thank you. Very kind of you. All right, rock on. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see how these ropes look. It is kind of strange that there's no rope coming out. I think if we had a big pile of the ropes, first of all, they're too bright. So they should definitely be a little bit darker. I'll try to like paint a little bit of like lighting going on the rope. Hopefully that could maybe make it look a little bit more different as well. Okay, cool. That makes the rope sit a little bit better. We need some coils of rope on the floor. I think that that would help as well. Maybe if I grab this like knob here, turn off proportional fall off and just stick it. Oops, what did I do? Oh, I had proportional fall off when I moved this, so I need to turn that off. We stick like some kind of knob on the floor that maybe the rope can hook onto. And I really should have left a version of this because now we've got to make it all over again. What I could try is just grabbing this one and just straightening it out, and maybe that will give us enough wobble that it looks sort of like it's on the floor. I'm sure this is going to be an absolute nightmare, but let's give it a try. Turn on proportional fall off, and I was just going to try to unrotate the rope here. I can already tell this is probably not going to work. I won't put too much time into it. Kind of working. Yeah, kind of works. Try to grab these and just pull them out a little bit. Grab these ones and just got like a real teardrop sort of look to this. Hey, I think that actually probably is okay. And again, it's so small on screen. I really don't want to spend too much time on this, especially now. I could first of all make it a little bigger, and I could just duplicate it and double this entire thing up like this, and it looks much thicker now. Hey, I think that's fine. It's a rope spooled up, and then let's just see how it looks in the game. I can't even see. I literally cannot even see it. That's crazy. We'd probably need like a shadow card in order to see it. Okay, but let's test it. Let's test how the game looks. I have not actually tested the game in a while with all of these new doodads there, so.
In the beginning, the universe.
So the barrels just vaporized. I think they're facing the wrong way. The shadows are looking more horrible than ever. I don't know why they reverted. All this stuff is really small. That's part of the reason why it's not taking up much space. All of it should be a lot bigger, like way bigger. So let me just partition this into its own object, set the origin to the geometry. Oh, and it would definitely get rid of the mirror modifier on it. And I'm just going to scale everything up to like 1.5. The size. And this entire thing, I'm going to scale up to 1.5. That might be too much. 1.4 maybe. And then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Oops. I don't know what amount I rotated it, not 90 degrees. Rotate it. This. And I'm going to put it on the far side so that it doesn't interfere too much with where the player is trying to stand. But I'm hoping that will give us much better coverage. And then I can put this rope maybe like right there. And hopefully that just like adds way more detail because it's taking up a lot more space. It does. Takes up a lot more space in the ship now. So the collision will have to accommodate. It's kind of weird. I think that these right here just should be a little bit darker. Just a little bit, just a touch, because they're on the interior of the ship. Okay, yeah, they got a little bit darker there. Hello, Expired Milk. Welcome. I don't know why the barrels vaporized. Oh, I guess it's because the nature of their billboard. I wonder if I just removed the billboard script. Let's see, how much can we get away with? Let's just remove the billboard script. And then let's save our ferry ship. And let's see.
In the beginning, the universe hummed along.
So the barrels are fine. I don't even think they need to rotate. They seem to just work as billboard or as non-billboards, so that's great. Then we'll just have to put a little bit of collision on that. Yeah, looking a lot more detailed. But I really want the entire ship to be covered in that level of detail. Hello, Isaac. Thank you for the kind words. Was playing Eastshade, rock on. Thank you for playing Eastshade. Game was crashing every hour or so. Okay. But the environment art was so beautiful that I didn't care. Okay, well, the game should not be crashing every hour. That's absolutely horrible. Don't know what the issue there could be. I don't know what your system specs are. I don't know if it was running out of memory or something. But if you have a super beefy system, then that is very bad. I've never seen it crash that often. There's at least one crash bug I know of that happens generally in the Tiefmoor area, and it typically happens like the first time you go there. There is a chance that it can crash, but I've never heard of it crashing every hour on a potato laptop. Okay, well that makes a little bit more sense. It's probably that the laptop does not meet the memory requirements of the game, I would imagine. Expired milk. Awesome. Thank you so much for the support. Glad to hear it. Maybe a simple anchor in the back would be a good start. Yeah. Maybe an anchor would be good. I think anchors are usually in the front, but yeah, maybe we could put one somewhere else. What was I going to do? Oh yeah, I thought that these being a different value or being a different wood type was really weird for where they are. So hopefully that'll make it look a little bit more normal. Yeah, there's got to be something else we can do here. Some other doodads and things. Maybe an anchor. Let's look back to our reference. So we got some tackle now. Obviously, we're not putting any cannons on our ship. And I want to find things that aren't like so much work. Like that rope was kind of a lot of work. Would be nice to find things that are easier than that. I mean, we made it pretty fast. That actually worked out really well. I did not expect it to go that well. I think the ship is too small for a lifeboat. To have a lifeboat on it. Maybe a chest. Let's go with let's see if we can find a chest. We got a lot of chests in the game. Okay, so that's a pretty cool chest. And it definitely looks like the kind of chest that you might find on a ship too. So let's see if we can work it in here. I'm going to stick it right in the outliner and then put it right in the ferry ship. I want to make sure that it's not actually interactive. It looks like it's not. And move it over to our ship. I think it would be great to have on the captain's deck here. The only thing is, it's kind of rotated 45. Oh, there we go. I think that might fit. That might fit. Let's get rid of some of these other weird rotations. I think it will fit if we twist the perspective a little bit. So I'm just going to unpack. Well, okay, we'll keep the prefab around. If I just twist the chest a little bit and maybe scale it down a touch, we should be able to get away with a little bit of twisting here. That's cool. Well, it's kind of the wrong value. It's a bit more of a reddish look. So let's just grab the large chest and then I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to do large chest starting ship. Vero Zabella, hello and welcome. Speaking of E-Shade, it was my second game on PS4. Wow. First was Death Stranding. Crazy. Thank you so much for the kind words. Appreciate that. Revelation. Oh, really appreciate that. All right. Yeah, we felt pretty happy with the way that the inspiration mechanic came out in the game. That was definitely it was a very important part mechanically of the game that kind of tied everything together. Let me make this chest use this new material, and I'm going to desaturate the vertex color. And then hopefully we can add a little bit. There we go. So now we can get that wood to match exactly the color. The only problem is the metal. Yeah, it's not going to work because that metal is desaturated. So we can't do that. What we have to do is add a little bit of the opposite of red in order to pull this more in the in the direction we need it to be color-wise. So there, now we can see the value matches a little bit better. But we can't have that super red wood. And I wonder if we can even get away with scaling it more down. Push it more into the corner there. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. And it's something, a little bit more detail. We definitely have a lot of chests. Let's see what other chests we can find. Oh, well, thanks. Thank you so much. And thanks for watching the post-mortem, I assume, the YouTube video. Thanks for watching that as well. Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised that a lot of people seem to say that part with the E-shade pie, a lot of people said that it made them emotional as well. So obviously it was very emotional for me, and then even telling the story was emotional for me. So it's interesting that emotion seemed to come through for people. See if we can find another chest or crate. I'll start with just prefabs. We might have chest or crates that aren't prefabbed, but let's just see what we got here. Okay, alchemist chest, what's that? Okay, that's not gonna work for us. Chest medium. Here's a very different sort of look of chest. Might be able to use that. Chest medium. I like this one, but it might be a little bit weird since it has such distinct color on it. I don't know. Light bear, what the heck? No. What are you doing here? Chest medium. Let's put it in the ship and then take out the rotation and just find a spot for it. Yeah, I think it would actually be better without the color. Maybe we could just kind of stick it under here. Sort of chest. There, I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, we just need to maybe, you know, we should be able to desaturate this one. Although this one also has little bolts and things, so I don't know. Oh, oops. This texture is being used in multiple places. All right. We need to fix that. Starting ship. Okay. So I just realized that this chest medium has a chest medium botany class version that needs its own version. I'm going to duplicate that. And we'll just call this like chest medium original. I added this like green color to it that worked better for a certain spot in the game where this chest is being used, but now we've got another spot in the game. I didn't realize it was being used there as well, so that is very bad on me. Gotta get rid of these little extra bits here. There we go. So I'll save that as chest original, and then I just need to make sure, first of all, it's going to be useful for us right now because this version of the material can use the chest original. And then we also just want to make sure the botany class version also uses that chest original. Cool. And again, it's the wrong value. The wrong value in hue. Really, maybe this whole boat should be a little bit more red. Maybe that would make everything match better. Let me take a look at that. So looking at the wood planks, Maybe they're definitely very much in the sort of almost green direction. If I add a little bit more red into them, I think that looks okay. And it looks like the beams is doing the heavy lifting on that ship. Shipwood beams, let's go ahead and check that out. And add a little bit more red into. Yeah, I think that that's working. It's making everything on the deck of the ship look better. We seem to have another material. It's Ferry Ship 1. Let's check that out. Now, unfortunately, this is going to affect the color of the sails as well, but it shouldn't be a super big deal. And just add a little bit of red. And I think that makes it sit a little bit better. Seems to unify it a little bit better. For some reason, the carriage back here is making me feel like I want the value to be darker. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. Let me just adjust the value of that little crate in there. Let's make it a little bit darker because it's so occluded. Yeah, that's adding a little bit of extra detail to the ship. I really feel like the captain needs more things up here. He needs some kind of like desk or something up there. But let's start the game, see where we're at. Let's maximize, or make sure it's set to maximize on play. And then let's give it a test. See what's going on with Twitch. Okay.
In the beginning, the universe hummed.
Here we go. Now those barrels look too bright. I'm just going to watch the ship go away and make sure we don't have any weirdness going on. Yeah, you know, all the billboarded assets are holding up fine. They really are. That one is getting a little weird as we turn, but I don't think anyone's going to be paying attention to that, so I don't think it's too much of an issue, honestly. Surprisingly resilient here. I'm going to remove the billboard asset on this bucket of apples because I just don't think we need it. I'm going to make sure to apply. I think that, yeah, it just seems like all of this stuff could be a little bit darker. I'm going to run a multiply on it. I hit it a few times. And then I'll grab the bottom as well. And hit it with a multiply. Yeah, surprisingly did very, very, very little. I can barely even tell. Well, at least these interior, those interior pieces of wood need to be a lot darker. why is it making so little impact? Very surprising. I mean, how dark do we have to make this thing to actually see it? I mean, they're like so dark. Okay, there we go. That made an impact. That made a big impact. Yeah, it's like I want all of them. I want all the wood beams to be darker on this thing. I guess we really have to pump a lot of darkness into it here. Okay, that made a difference. Is it better? I think it's maybe better. I don't know. I don't know. Well, these should be a little darker as well, because those are sort of inset. There should be some more ambient occlusion there. And I'd really love to find something to go in there. I'm hesitant to just put more barrels, but that seems like it would work. Maybe we can just grab this entire tackle thing that we made. Oh, we left behind some rope here. That there. Let's take this entire tackle thing and see if we can maybe just move it up there. And if it doesn't look too repeaty, oh, let me delete that. I left behind one piece of it. Well, definitely we'll need some scaling, but let's try, for this one, maybe let's rotate it, -90. Let's see what we can get away with here. Stick that right there. Okay, we've got it going through the floor a little bit, but maybe that doesn't matter so much. Let's export. Well, it definitely is a lot of repeating rope, but I do think it fills the space nicely. Anyway, fills the space up there, but you got that crazy repetitious rope. But maybe it's not so bad, I don't know. Well, what other sort of junk? Let's fly around the world. I know that there's some stuff going on with at Florian's house. He's got some supplies out there. Let me remove the UI and actually see what we're doing. Okay, so these aren't going to work, I don't think. They're definitely not tied down looking enough. Go over to the die station. Yeah, I don't think any of this stuff is quite gonna work. Maybe this bucket of clothes right here, because it looks like rags or something. Let's copy that. The cloth basket. Let's try to put one of those in the ship. I don't really know why he'd have a cloth basket, the captain up there, maybe to wipe things down. I can imagine why you'd have a basket of cloths on deck for like washing the deck or something. I don't know. If anyone knows anything about sailing, then I'm sure you're laughing right now, but let's put the cloth basket on the ferry ship. See if it goes somewhere. I don't know why it's so incredibly large. Let me stick it right there. If we darken it sufficiently, It's honestly really hard to tell what it is, which is kind of a good thing. It just looks kind of like a shanty sort of ship. Let's version off this material. Fabric basket. Yeah, maybe more sail material to patch the sails or something. Starting ship. Gosh, it's already 7:40. It's awesome. My baby woke up at 6:45 yesterday, so I'm already feeling groovy about how far we've gotten. It is a little distracting because it's so light. It really pulls the eyes, and I don't really want that necessarily. If I shove it more into the corner. Okay, I'm going to apply changes. I could add a quest to help him with his sales repair, yeah. Let's just see how it looks in game. Let's see what this is all about.
In the beginning, the universe hummed along.
It definitely, the ship looks way shantier than it did before, which I think is good. I think that's what Jacqueline wanted. Okay, let's watch the ship sail away, see how much weird stuff we get. Oh, can we go back on already? Oh. Yes, I'm so surprised that the cards hold up that well. And they definitely look weird now, but as we turn away. But we can, I'm not worried about that. I don't think most people are going to watch the ship sail away anyway. And I think that they would be really not focused on the individual cards. They don't really seem to draw attention to themselves very much. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. It definitely looks a lot less gamey. That's the word I used when I started this project. Gamey, because it just is so sterile and clean. It doesn't feel lived in. It doesn't feel used. It doesn't feel like part of the world. And now it definitely has a lot more sort of believability to it. And I don't know how much further we have to go on it. I don't know how much further is worth it. I think the hull itself is a little bit plain. I wonder if there's something more we could do to the hull. Tall ship. I'm going to type small ferry. A few of us will, yeah, because now you know where to look. Maybe let's do like small tall ship. So I just want to look at these ships of simpler designs and see what kinds of things they have on the outside of the hull. We've already got the painted stripe. We can't do cannon holes or anything like that. That's not going to make any sense. Yeah, again, we've got the tackle. We could We could probably put the something for the tackle. We probably could have put it outside. And that would probably add a lot more detail to the ship. Right now it literally just disappears into the frame here, and that could probably add more detail. I bet it would. I bet it would look a lot better. So what I'm thinking is we would just grab like, well, first of all, let's find a, this one looks really nice. It's literally just a plank of, or like a beam of wood. So it shouldn't be too hard. Just like grab it from here. Remove the mirror modifier. Just grab this. Invert my selection, delete everything else. And I'm just rotate that 90 degrees. Now we'll set the origin to the geometry. Oops, can't perform it in editable. Set the origin to the geometry and then just fill this like that. Go ahead and follow active quads on here. And then we just need to put that plank like just right here, you know, big enough to cover all this rope. Rotate it a little. I already really like the way it looks. Like I can already tell it's reading well. That's so important, just that first impression. Like I can already tell it's adding a lot of detail. Now the trick will be getting these ropes to go all the way down because they're kind of hard to set up, honestly. I do have these lattices. Hopefully they'll help me a little bit. Yeah. Okay. It's not going as poorly as it could be. It is pulling the rope away from the top. Not good. I don't know if we want it to go through. I think it can actually go through. It doesn't have to go around. Like I think that this plank could be quite thick, like that. The ropes can actually just intersect into it. Here we go. Try to get them to go in there, and then I'll just twist them a little bit. Okay. We've got another one right here, but we can just duplicate this and hopefully just do a little baby one. The front is very empty as well, so it'll be really nice to get a little bit of extra something going on in the front. Like right here. We'll rotate that up. What? To sort of match the hull. Take that out like that. Cool. Oh yeah, it looks great. I can't believe those little pieces of wood. I'm certain it's going to look good once it exports. Yeah. They should probably be very dark to draw lots of attention to themselves. So I'm going to make them very dark. I'm just going to multiply, like, actually add a little bit of red in there as well. And just really multiply what we've got going on here. Just make them very dark pieces of wood. Just to create a lot of contrast between them and the ship hull. There. I like that. Missing some scurvy. Now scurvy is vitamin C deficiency, I think. I don't think we can see it on the ship, except in the form of a ship that doesn't have any produce or cabbage on it. Hello, the games. Welcome to the stream. Apparently, sauerkraut was a very important food for the British Navy because eventually they figured out that cabbage. I don't know if they fully understood. I don't think they understood vitamin C deficiency specifically, but they eventually figured out that if the sailors ate cabbage, they would not get scurvy. And of course, cabbage is something that's fairly easy to make, to give a longer shelf life by fermenting it in the form of sauerkraut. So sauerkraut ended up being an important food. Isaac asks, do you already have a release date in mind for the game? We have not announced a release date. We have a release date in mind, but we have not announced it yet. Hopefully we'll be giving our release window at some point with sufficient marketing hoopla. Something that a lot of consumers probably aren't aware of, but the announcing of your release date is actually a bargaining chip that you can use with the media, and it's also something that you can sort of make into a press or into a PR beat if you do it with enough hoopla and enough, like if you launch a trailer with it and stuff, then you can sort of generate some buzz with that. So we like to hold on to that date until we're absolutely ready to put it out. I know it's probably kind of annoying for gamers because everyone just wants to know when they can get the game, which is understandable. But I guess that's why it's such a valuable bargaining chip, because it's information that everyone wants to know, then it can be used to generate some buzz. Appreciate that, Verozabel. Probably not saying your name right, but I'm trying best. So I'm just going to straighten out this little piece of rope. Whoa, what just happened? Okay. I guess I logged out of my computer with a hotkey. I didn't even know I could do that. Okay. Just going to completely straighten out this little tiny nub of rope so that we can easily do what we need to do with it. That certainly takes us time. I mean, we've been working on this game for 6 years. We also had a baby in 2 years ago, so that slowed things down a bit. Well worth it, but it did slow things down a bit. Okay. So here we've got the rope. And we just want to make sure that there's one rope for each rope that's going into the ship here. I think I'll go ahead and merge all of these together. You can barely see it, but it makes a big difference, I think. I wish there was something back here we could do, because that's also pretty plain. Okay. Well, here we go. We'll just get rid of these two other ones. Can't even see. Oh yeah, they're there. Okay, cool. All right. I'm gonna make sure that our changes are saved, and I'll go ahead and save exterior world as well. Isaac says, do you ever get bored of working on the game after such a long time? No. I would say no. It's sort of just the way, it's definitely the way that I am. I'm take it to the lab, lock me away in my ivory tower, I'll work on it forever sort of person. And I get really excited about the I guess I'm someone who gets really excited about scope. Like, I'm excited to blow people's minds, I think, in a way that perhaps certainly not every indie developer feels like that. Whereas I feel like I want to make something so big and so remarkable, and I want there to be so much toil in the thing that when people play it for the first time, they're just absolutely blown away. Like, every second they're blown away. They go around every corner they turn, they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much detail, there's so much going on, there's so many interesting little things everywhere. I guess I'm just addicted to making people feel that, and it just takes forever to get there. But when the game is already feeling pretty cool, like pretty just like, I don't know what the word, pretty bustling, then I'm excited to take it even further. So I guess that keeps me going. But yeah, our last project, Eastshade, took us 5 years as well. I'll walk around the town for a second. For anyone new to the game who hasn't seen the game, the name of the game is Songs of Glimmerwick. It's a Witch Academy RPG. I'm gonna walk around the town for a second, and hopefully I'll show you guys what I mean. In terms of the depth of world. So this is the town in the game, and there's just so much stuff going on. This little chicken is walking around. You can talk to absolutely every NPC. There's like jokes and stuff. This little girl is running around. She's pretending she's in battle. Now the baker is selling me some goods. These folks are shopping. This little girl's gonna start running around town. These people are chatting. She's got a kalimba. It's her little instrument. This guy, you can see, he's holding a little bread basket. This is kind of like the town wannabe bard. He's really bad at singing, but he's making jokes. This guy right here has a whole quest to do with this cart. And You can walk into a lot of the interiors. So this is the potion shop. All kinds of stuff going on in here. This area is blocked off, but you can get to it later in the game. And I'll go up onto the second level here. With these old ladies, every day you talk to them, they've got some kind of different little funny story to tell. It's a little, like a little boat swing that the kids can play on here, and if I bump into it, it actually jostles around. All the plants and shrubs jostle around when you walk into. This guy's got a baby. If you guys think about how often you see a baby in a game, your mind will be blown. Like, games do not have babies in them. It's so weird. But we always like to put babies in our games. It's like, it's life, you know. Actually, there should be some baby sounds would be cool. You can sit on all the benches in the game, like every single bench you can sit on. You can even sit on like the different sides of the bench. I'll walk, this is the last place I'll go. This is the tailor shop. So this is this giant water wheel. You can go in here. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Like this mill is going, it's beating all the cotton. And these little looms are spinning using magic. These candles, these little fires are animated. So basically that sort of feeling, that sort of world, that's this sort of richness of walking around the world. It just takes so long to build it, and you just keep piling and piling and piling and piling on top of it. And then of course we want our world to be big as well. So that's what keeps us going for all those years. And a lot of people, you know, I guess the thing I tell myself is if I get tired after it and I want to start over, like starting over is addictive because starting over is easy. Like the beginning of a project is easy because you make progress really quickly and you don't really have to deal with the consequences of your decisions, and you don't have to get stuck in this quagmire that you create for yourself. So everything goes so fast in the beginning. It's like crack. It's literally like crack. And I always tell myself, like, if you just start over and you chase that feeling again, then what are you so excited about if you never actually get to the grand vision that was the thing that inspired you at the beginning? If you just move on to something new, then how can you be excited about your next thing if your last thing didn't end up being that beautiful thing that you dreamed about? So I guess every time we finish something, which is not very often, right? Because our games take us 5 years, I feel like it gives us the right to be super excited about our next thing because we proved to ourselves that we could actually deliver on that starry-eyed vision we had for the last one. And I guess that's what keeps me going. Let me catch up with chat. Thank you guys. Appreciate the kind words. Unity 2019. Yeah, we would be using 2018. The only reason why we updated to 2019 is because Unity does not support the consoles anymore on 2018. So we needed the support from the LTS version. So that's why we're using 2019. But we wouldn't have ever upgraded. We aim to ship with the version of Unity that we started the game with. We don't chase upgrades at all. We just work with what we have. And we don't waste development time updating the game and fixing regressions and things from the updates. We don't use URP. We use built-in lighting. Thank you, Verosabel. Is there ways to support what you do? There's no merch, but yeah, the best way right now, I mean, if you buy our game eShade, if you haven't already, I think you said you already played it on PlayStation 4, so you already own it. So you've already supported us. But for Glimmerwick right now, is the move on, there it goes. Is the best way is just to wish list the game. Yep, just wish list the game is the best. Terraseg, thank you. And thank you, Cat Pie Yum. Terrasig asks, is the player 2D or 3D? The player is 2D with skeletal animation. We use a middleware called Spine, and all the characters use that. Hot says, I actually hate the beginning when it's an empty scene with nothing. Yeah, it's interesting. Jacqueline, my wife and the lead designer and artist of this game, she feels the same way. She doesn't like the beginning. I love the beginning. I love the possibilities and the sort of dreaming and stuff. So, but I see what you guys mean. When it's empty, it can be a little bit overwhelming. Thanks, Kaushik. Okay, so that's the town tour. Let's go back to the boat. I'm going to take a look at the boat one more time. The start of the game here. Just so we can see what we've done. Now, I've actually had a chance, my eyes have been freshened a little bit by looking at the town, so.
In the beginning, the universe hummed along
Oh man, yeah, the boat looks way better. It looks way better. Cool. I'm really happy with that. It doesn't look so abysmal like it used to look. Awesome. Really exciting. Now the first shot of the game, I can be a little bit more proud of it. Okay, I think I'm gonna call it a stream. I don't want to go, but I know my baby boy's gonna wake up soon, and I don't want to have to leave the stream in a rush. Let's see what we got here. Okay, 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's a good run. Good run. And I'm really happy we finally got that first starting ship. It's been bugging me forever that it looks so empty and plain. Can't wait to show it to Jacqueline. I hope she likes it. Okay, and I'm going to call it a stream. Thanks everyone so much for hanging out. Of course, if you're new to the stream, I just dropped that MooBot link there. Don't forget to check out our game, Songs of Glimmerwick, and give it a wish list if it's your cup of tea. And hopefully I'll catch some of y'all next time. See ya.